Hello, and welcome back to the Levine Family Learning Series. If you missed last week, as always, you can find it on the Levine YouTube page. For those just joining us, my name is Rabbi Feivel, and I am the Director of Jewish Life and Learning here at Levine. In last week's learning, we discussed the 3 weeks of mourning and how sometimes thinking about the sad things in our lives can help us treat each other better. This week, not only are we still in the 3 weeks of mourning, but we happen to be in the beginning of the month of Av, in the final 9 days leading up to Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, one of the saddest days of the whole year, which happens to be this coming Thursday. On Tisha B'Av, we remember one of the most awful moments in our whole Jewish history, the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, and the day the entire Jewish people were kicked out of our home in Israel. And this happened way back, 1,953 years ago, in the year 70 CE. So what makes these 9 days different from the rest of the 3 weeks that we talked about in our last learning? Well, last week we talked about the sad things that happen to us. And unfortunately, sometimes sad things happen and there's really not a whole lot we can do to stop it. In those moments when that happens, it's really important, like we talked about last time, to learn about how we can actually help each other. But sometimes sad things happen because we make mistakes. I know, you sometimes make mistakes. I sometimes make mistakes. In fact, everyone sometimes makes mistakes. Even the people who are watching this video who are sitting right next to you right now. Sometimes these mistakes are small. Usually they're small, and we can fix them pretty easily. But other times, when we make the big mistakes, bad things can happen. And sometimes we can even make other people sad. But you know what the hardest part about making mistakes really is? It's being willing to admit that you made one. And if you are, in fact, brave enough to admit that you've made a mistake, are you brave enough to try and fix it? In the Tanakh, the prophet Yirmiyahu talks about the biggest mistakes that we made as a Jewish people in our entire history. We misbehaved so badly back then. We stole from each other. We were mean to each other. We broke each other's stuff for no reason. We hurt each other. And we even stopped caring about God. But you know what the worst part was? You guessed it. We refused to admit it. Since we never took responsibility for our mistakes, we never fixed them. And things became worse and worse and worse until they got so bad that eventually our very own temple, the most important building we had, was destroyed. And we even got kicked out of our home in Israel. And remembering this moment this week is what makes this time of year so sad. As we approach Tisha B'Av this coming Thursday, it is our responsibility to think about the mistakes that we've made. What are some things you've already taken responsibility for? What have you apologized for and already tried to fix? But even more importantly, what are the things you haven't? This week, let's all try to admit just one thing we've done wrong. Let's try to admit just one thing we've all done wrong and try to make it right, even if it's really hard to do. Go ahead, talk to each other about it. Talk about it as a family and remind each other that no matter what you're about to admit, you will all still love each other, no matter what. Maybe if we can all take just a little bit more responsibility for our actions, we won't have to lose something so special ever again. Shabbat Shalom.